learned to talk slowly. I learned to walk slowly, and I learned to talk softly too. One of the island that I go to called Korea or Nunivak, the Yup'ik lives in the island, and there's only 500 of them. I spoke earlier about how they talk very loudly because they got to talk above the sound of the waves. So when I went there, I suddenly realized that I could talk loudly, and I was very happy because suddenly I do not need to talk softly the way that I do in other villages. So when I started to talk with them, my friends in that village, they were very happy. They said, "Oh, Nancy, you talk like us," you know. And I was like, it's something that it's an infinity, a closeness that you can have with the people who you work with. So to respect dignity and worth of our clients is not just our clients but also their culture. Really, our commitment to clients is to be there at their saddest and happiest time. I think in olden days practice in social work, I think even maybe now some very committed social workers goes to the weddings or the birthdays of the clients. When we work with volunteers, one of the most important thing about working with volunteers is that in their important parts of their life, you are also there with them. Like if they get married or their children get married, you get invited to the weddings. Those are the kind of closeness of relationship that means that you are actually very successful in establishing a very good relationship with the clients or the people you work with. Privacy and confidentiality. In working in a small community, everybody knows everybody. So what is the confidentiality? How are you going to keep confidentiality? Because the minute you see one child, all the teachers some of the teachers in the school who are her relatives know that the child is seeing a social worker. So really the level of privacy and confidentiality in a small community is very limited. So as a practitioner, what do you do? I think in Singapore it also applies, especially like for example we work with Malay Muslim communities. They still kind of a strong kampung spirit connection in the Malay Muslim community. So it's quite common that for them they also know each other quite clearly. So if a social worker working with one family, if the rest of other family members see them, they also will know, hey, how come you're seeing a social worker? So I think the challenge, I don't have a solution, but I think we as social workers, we need to be mindful of that. That when we work with communities that are close-knitted community, we must be mindful and be very creative in how we can maintain confidentiality and privacy. Right? Self-determination to me is that, okay, you have gone through so much in your life, then at the end, what are you going to do? Are you going to stop drinking? Are you going to stop taking the drugs? Or are you going to stop sleeping with 10 men? Or stop sleeping with 10 women? That, in a way, is you need to respect the decision after all the healing circles. In the end, they may go back to their old way of life. And then what do you do as a worker? Do you say, oh, you have failed? But to me, I felt that to them, it's a journey that they go through. They may have to, in substance abuse work or alcoholism work, is that you use the word rock bottom. They really have to hit rock bottom before they decide to climb up, and you just have to respect the journey.